All right. Hello, America. Welcome back to another episode of Work Order Nation. Today, I'm excited to be joined by someone who has spent decades rooted in the day-to-day realities of property operations and community oversight. Craig Watson, the driving force behind Devonshire Real Estate. Craig has spent nearly 20 years shaping top-rated residential communities, ensuring both residents and property owners benefit from consistent, attentive service. From coordinating maintenance to navigating tenant relations, his approach reflects the steady hands-on leadership that has become the hallmark of his company. Craig also holds a Bachelor's of Business Administration from Dallas Baptist University. Go Patriots! where the university's mission centers on developing servant leaders, individuals equipped to integrate faith, learning, and leadership through service to others. This foundation in service-driven leadership complements the people-first mindset he brings to the property management industry every single day. Craig Watson, thank you so much for joining us today. We're thrilled to have you on the show.
Thank you, sir. That was, my goodness, what an intro. That's hard to, I hope I can live up to that. That was wonderful.
No, you deserve it. That is all you, my man. That is all you. And like I said, we're excited with someone with your tenure and knowledge to be able to join us in the guest today. But that said, I know it all starts with somewhere. Everybody's got their origin story. Like Superman, we know you didn't come from Krypton. But if you could share with us what's your origins and how it led you into the property management industry.
Absolutely. It was, I was out of the service and, you think you're going to walk right into that career afterwards, but sometimes those doors aren't open right then. So I was looking for a place to stay and saw an ad they specifically wanted male leasing agents. This is at the time when you could do that. And it was a rougher property and I got on it and I learned the business a little bit and got noticed. And from there, got moved to be an assistant manager. And then I spent some time in maintenance for a little while to learn that side and got, after a few years of being an assistant maintenance and assistant property manager, I got my first break and I was given a community and a little 80 unit and ran it well. And that owner of that property actually had some commercial properties that he needed managed. And I pivoted and managed commercial for about 4 years. And
Wow.
then came back to multifamily. And how I came back was they said, would you mind helping with this property? And then I was helping with two. And next thing you knew, my commercial stuff went away. And I was back in the multifamily game. But it it's a wonderful industry because you can have a good impact on a community and stuff. So there's a lot of pitfalls, but there's a lot of positives in it as well. So I'm glad to be in it. It's
No,
not for all folks.
no, I appreciate you sharing. Like I said, it definitely has its ups and its downs, and it definitely requires its maestros like you to be able to conduct that orchestra, right? Bring it all to make sense. And you didn't cut your teeth in the easiest of communities, and it kind of seems like you still hang around in the same type of class communities. Can you tell us what your specialty class is where you find expertise in?
Well, we are a B&C property management management company, a little bit older properties. Not a lot of the current amenities and all that are necessarily offered other places, but it's a good, hardworking, I come home, I'm happy at my community, and we're not for show or for functionality. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We have what you need. We make sure you can afford it. It's not all show and go, but it's necessary. There has to be that for everybody. We have things ranging from people that are getting back on their feet to,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful 3 bedroom scenarios. We really
Yes,
cover the
sir.
whole spectrum. But I found my managing style is most effective in those B and Cs where people just want to make sure they have what they need and the fluff and all that isn't necessarily the focal point, so more hardworking is where we are. So
No, that's the heart of ownership. The heart of ownership is really in the BNC classes, right? Those owners are, even if they bought A or they built A, if they hold on to the asset, a lot of those amenities, they fade over time.
yes,
And a
sir.
lot of times those properties will mature into B and, sometimes even C style properties, but they are the heart of property management. That is where the bulk of communities need management. And so it's so powerful that you guys understand that. And like I say, you can put focus on it, because sometimes everybody wants to have a, oh man, I heard a crazy amenity the other day. I couldn't even believe it. They come up with new amenities every single day. Man, it's missing me. But it was some, just, I couldn't believe that a property management, a garden, I'm sorry. They had a community garden, and the community garden, they couldn't keep up with the budget for the garden, and it slowly went to disarray. But that said, it's C-cut style communities that don't necessarily have a community garden, but have a safe place for kids to play, a safe place for people to make sure they can get out of their car and put their groceries up the right way. That stuff matters.
And to speak on that, you're exactly right, and I guess that's what I was trying to say. Our focus is more on we need to make sure those gates are working. We need to make sure
Thank you.
that the community is clean and looks good, and, our courtesy patrol is current and on the ball and all that, and when you come home, you can relax and feel safe and do all that at a price point that you can actually afford in this economy.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
because it's tough out there. And you're right, I've
Yes.
seen places offer massage rooms and coffee machines and this, that, and the other, and I can't imagine what some of my residents would think if I pulled up and said, "Hey, guys, we're gonna put some money into a massage room." They'd be like, "Can we
Man,
please get some exterior lights out here?" You know what I mean? So, that's more of
I
how it
hear
is.
that.
It's practical. Yeah, something to be said about everyday operations, right? It's practical,
Yes,
it's
sir.
it's functional, and it's essential. Can you tell us who do you work for? Tell us a little bit about your tenure there.
Okay, well, with Devonshire Real Estate and Asset Management, we manage a little over 10,000 units statewide. A
Wow.
good amount down in Houston, mainly DFW, some North Texas, a few outliers out west. I've been here through the shift of family owned and small groups owning to the syndicate owning now and stuff like that. Seeing the technology change. Our principal, John Redden, came from Hartax and started up Devonshire. And it's just been a consistent and constant upward trajectory over the time I've been here. Like I said, I have a long tenure. My head accountant is 18 years. Our HR is 17 years. I've got managers that were leasing agents for me 14 years ago. And, you just have that. We have a culture here where if you stick with it, you won't be able to help but learn the industry and make progress. We are
Yes.
constantly promoting our people from within. And it not only fosters, I know it's a business, it fosters a sense of I don't want to go as far as family, but there's loyalty and trust here. And
So
you
important.
spend more time, more waking hours with the people at work than you do with your friends and family and loved ones. And if you
Mm-hmm.
can't tolerate it there, then it makes being home even tougher. You know what I
Man,
mean? So
I do.
when we have that and you have people that you've been together for so long, it's a wonderful feeling. And sometimes, for example, to speak on that, when we have a property change hands, somebody sells a property. I tell my staff, I'm like, you can go with the new company. See how they operate. See how much
Wow.
money you can make over there. Do that. And if you want to come back and teach us what you learned,
Right.
because that's
Yeah,
how it works.
it's
We
good.
we all communicate with each other, but you don't always get that secret sauce. And if somebody can break away, it's kind of like that. If you love a bird, you set it free, and if it comes back, it's yours. That's kind of how it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of people that will go out in the world and try out the other things, and they'll come back because they know how they're treated here. And they know that direct communication, it is what it is, and we're going to take care of each other. And when they do come back with some of that knowledge from other places, it's a great, great benefit to us. It's a wonderful situation. So I'm
No.
sorry I got off on a tangent
That's
there, but yes,
impressive. Well,
Devonshire.
well, just to recap, I mean that's impressive because you spoke about Devonshire and its culture, right?
Yes,
That's
sir.
super important. But then you also touched about the industry, right? How reputation matters, right? But you also told us a little bit about yourself, right? Your leadership style and what's made you successful. So I think that was super helpful and a lot of
Oh, thank
gems in that statement. So thank you.
you. Yes,
Nah,
sir.
man. It's probably one of the tougher pieces in property management is the staffing. And for you to understand, not only do you have to be willing to invest in people, right? Knowledge, time, energy, consideration for just lifing
No
with
doubt.
people, you know,
No
and
doubt.
but at the same time, you're looking for that not necessarily looking for, but you understand the benefit of people growing outside of your opportunity, and then being able to come back when other opportunities arise. And
Yes, sir.
people don't do that very often unless the environment's right. Can you tell us what type of staff and what do you look for in a team member to be able to say, hey, this is the right person that we can invest in, and this is a leader that I want part of our team?
Well, leaders come in all shapes and sizes, and there's all different kinds of. Let's take managers, for example. In my experience, you'll have one or two types. You'll have the manager that Mr. and Mrs. So and so is going to take care of it. They're out there. They know if they call them that they'll be on top of it and they know what's up, but their numbers might be a little, you might have to work with them on the books a little bit because they're always out there taking care of the feet on the street. And then you have the other ones that are more accounting based or things like that, and they don't necessarily have that I'm the community captain situation. So they're both perfect if you have the right supporting staff under them. You know what I
Okay,
mean? So it's
that's
really
good.
building. I consider it like I'm building a basketball team. You know, I start with my point guard, who's my point guard is my assistant manager is my point guard because I need them to know my numbers and know where everybody is all the time. I need my manager to know what my staff is up to and also understand my community and be empathetic to the people that are at her property or his property.
Very
Because
good.
if you have anything other than respect and admiration for the people at your place, then you're not going to succeed because
Mm,
this is their home and you have to
mm,
handle it that way. And I need so to find somebody with some heart that can still handle the numbers and still do all that. It's a tough game. And as we've gotten technology has taken over a lot, some of the people that are accustomed to the old way are falling by the wayside through no fault of their own. They just can't meet these metrics that reporting wise and all that that are expected of them because they're not the computer people. They're the Excel spreadsheet and a yellow legal pad. You know what I mean? And they're out there doing the
Right.
work. And so
Yep.
right now, staffing, finding that middle ground, it's almost like a class is graduating to retirement that aren't willing to get hip to
Wow.
technology. And
Wow.
it's a sad thing because they've worked themselves up to a certain status and a certain pay, and I can't
Mm,
justify that anymore unless they get with
mm,
the times. And it's
man.
interesting to see. And then you've got some young people that they're all metric based, and that's cool. That's good if you're if you're working for somebody that's traded on the publicly traded and stuff like that. But it's still a community driven business, and if you can't understand that you're such a vital part of this community and your attitude when you show up every day can affect the lives of hundreds of people, so
wow.
it's interesting.
Very
It
well
feels like
said.
the old guard that has the touch can't keep up with the technology. I shouldn't say can't. I should say they're resistant. And the young people that maybe are not experienced enough to have that touch are the only ones eligible because of the technology requirements. It's
Wow.
tough.
Really
Wow.
is.
What
Really is.
a perspective. What a balance, man. To have to keep up with trying to understand not only the new systems that are in place, but also know you got to have some heart for this business. Like you
Have
said, you're
to
not just here punching into an Excel spreadsheet. You are affecting hundreds of people's lives just
every
by how
day.
you walk through the door every day.
Yes,
And
sir.
that's not often mentioned in this industry that people have that type of responsibility every single day. And it's good that your team understands it. It's good that they have leadership that can hold them accountable to it. And I think it's important for all of our listeners out there to know that no matter if you've got this type of, foundational leadership in your organization, you got to know you're going to need to lean into people in order to progress. It's the only way that this works in terms of holding on to a career like Craig has had here over the last almost 2 decades. This is awesome. 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 That said, let's talk about a little bit about technology before we get into our little wow section. And I'm gonna preface you, man. I'm gonna let your wheels turn a little bit. We've got our work order wows, as you might have saw. So I don't know if you had a chance to see some of our previous episodes, but that said, I'm
There you
looking
go.
for an exciting wow moment out of you. Hold on
Sure he
to her.
has 'em. I'm sure he
Hold on
has 'em
to her.
back there.
But I want to hear about technology, man. What are you using right now that you feel like is your most your the super tool that you
Well,
brought into the team that's helping you guys multiply?
Well, let me tell you that's interesting. We use a lot of we use one site, we use Rent Manager. We're more accounting based over here.
Can you say that software one more time? I'm sorry.
We use one site and Rent Manager on different
Thank you.
properties. We're Rent Manager based. Most of ours, 90% of our properties run on Rent Manager, which is an accounting based software. Um, a lot of add-ons for it and things like that. But to speak on technology, I'd like to speak on the marketing side of it a little bit because I'm
Please
noticing
do.
something, and I know that y'all both are well versed. But some of the old way of the apartment guide, apartment list, things like that, they're 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 expensive for a property. I mean, you're going to swallow a unit a month on those, is what it is. And but if you're running a tight ship or
Yes,
a small property, that's a lot
it
to give
matters,
up.
right?
And we all know here that if somebody's at work and they're sitting on their break, they ain't scrolling apartment guide or apartment list. They're on TikTok, they're on Snap, they're on Instagram. So we've actually
All the
found that we've
time.
had some all day. We've had a this is a real time example from 2 days ago. I
Let's
was at
hear
a
it.
property in Grand Prairie, have a young lady who's a leasing agent. I said, "What do you do in your free time?" She goes, "I'm a influencer for Timu on TikTok." I
Yes,
said, "What are you
sir.
talking about?" She goes, "I have 346,000 followers." The young lady's 20 years old. I said, "Will you make one for the property for me, please, since you know how to do it?" Tell me
Yeah.
why she'd put one up. Took her about 10 minutes to make the thing and everything. She posted it. By lunchtime that day, I had 2,500 views on it. We had
Woo!
six scheduled tours already.
My
She's still
gosh.
posting. I'm going to send her to all 50 plus properties to do all of them. And
My
you know
gosh.
what it cost us? Time.
What?
Just
Time.
time.
That's
That's
it.
it. It's none of
Wow.
this sign a 5-year contract. You're going to give me $1,300, $800 a month. None of that.
Wow.
It's
It's
just,
a
I'm going
game
to show
changer.
you what you can walk in and lease today. Here's the special. Come and get it. And it's working. And it's wild. And I don't want to talk about it too much because I don't want them to start charging us for it. Because you know that's going to
Nah, nah,
happen. But I
nah.
got
That's
to tell
enough for
you,
That's good.
everybody.
That's
I
good.
couldn't believe it. I could not believe it, and it's not just young people responding, it's all ages responding back to it, and
That's good.
I mean, I'm not that guy that does the social media and all that, I should be. I know for business, the benefits are it's the way of the world, it's the message board in the middle of the world that everybody walks by every day, so I get it, but these young folks, I'll tell you what, if they got their finger on the pulse, they can change the tide of something quick with it. It's pretty
It's
amazing
good.
what it is.
I
So
mean,
Wow.
this is kudos to you
so
though. You
that's
you recognize that though, right? You're having the conversations. You're out there. You're interacting with your team, right? You're listening. You're learning. You're adapting. It just says a lot about your leadership, right? And how they feel about you to share that, and for her to want to do that without question, right? And so that's great story.
well, I'll tell you, yes, sir. If you I found if you have people and you give them tasks that needed to be done, and you can build their confidence by not overwhelming them or expecting them to do things that they haven't been properly trained or taught to do, then you'll develop trust and loyalty and an incredible employee that in the future, when you say, "Will you do this for me?" They don't sit there and say, "Am I going to know how to do this?" They're going to say, "He wouldn't ask me to do it if I didn't know how to do it." And they'll walk in
Mm.
with confidence. And that's to give your people confidence, all of us. I don't care who you are. We have to fight it every day. We are told it's not good enough, you don't make enough, smart enough, fast enough, this, that, and the other. You have to have a place where people are invested in you and you're happy to be there and you're working towards something because we all want a feeling of accomplishment at the end of the day. We all want
It
it.
matters. It
So
matters.
it does. It does.
Evanshire, have a good one with Craig. That's a blessing. That's a blessing.
Thank you.
Nah, it takes us to, before I just want to have one more little insight because you kind of led right into it. Is if you're talking to, Craig 20 years from now, but instead of talking to Craig 20 years from now, you're talking to him in the 2026 version, right? And what would you share? I know we had that inspiring conversation about that leasing staffer, changing the game on the TikTok. But what would you share with the aspiring leasing agent that sees potential in having a career in property management, and even the property manager that wants to understand, hey, why am I not getting to the next level in terms of regional leadership? What would you share with a young and upcoming Craig that could take them to the next steps to kind of fast forward some of your moves?
Never be afraid to ask a question. Be truthful in your responses. If you don't understand it, there is no shame in the world and raise your hand and say, "I need to understand this better so I can do it correctly."
Thank you.
And always remember that just as you have bad days and bad moments, anyone you're meeting could be going through something like that at the exact same time. So before you rush to judgment about how this person is or how this situation will be or how future interactions will be carried out, just know that you're in a time and a place right now that you're not aware of everyone else's intentions. and get through it and hope that they have a better situation next time you come across them. Because like I said, I've worked with a lot of people that I thought I'd never see again, and then you walk in that
Mm,
office and they're sitting there. And
mm.
in fact,
Yes,
if you have a
sir.
second, I got an interesting story for you on that.
Man, please share.
I was training as a regional with my wonderful trainer, Janet Bachman trained me, and we had to let a maintenance man go because he had some units off the books. It happens, he had a pool table in one, he was doing his thing, but we had to let him go. Now, fast forward 6 years, and I call one of our contractors, and my AC at my home was out, and I said, "Can you send somebody over to do it?" And he goes, "Absolutely." And I said, "Here's the code to the door."
Ooh,
So they send them. Tell me why I get home that day and I walk through my living room and you can feel somebody's eyes on you, right? I turn and this man is sitting on my couch waiting for me to
what?
get home. And he goes, "Do you remember me?" And I said, "Well, absolutely, I remember you." And he goes, "I want to thank you. It was the best thing that ever happened to me being let go." He goes,
Mm,
"I'm a maintenance supervisor over here." He goes, "I had kind of lost my way and I was too comfortable and I needed that jump start." And I work with him to this day. But I got to tell you, you want to talk about the hair standing up on your neck?
yes.
You
I'll
reap what
tell
you
you what,
sow.
there's
And
out
so
of
good.
everybody I thought I
Yeah.
would see, I did not expect to see that man sitting there.
It's a
Shows
testament.
you,
It's a
you treat him the
testament to
right way,
you
Yes,
he the
sir.
have to
way.
treat people the way you want to be treated.
Like,
And at its core, people understand when the time is ready for them to move on. And sometimes it has to be more abrupt than they like. But
Yes, sir.
ultimately, it's not cliche to say you're moving on to bigger and better things when sometimes opportunities have to cease where you are. So it's good it lets you know you handled that the right way.
I
exactly.
know,
And it lets you know
Exactly.
that it's good to know you got a good AC guy out of it too.
I know that's right.
They're a treasure.
Yes, sir. Around here, for sure.
For sure, for sure. But now, let's take it into work
Work
order
order.
now.
Let's go. Can you share, Craig, from any
All right.
time in your illustrious career where you've just had a crazy, ridiculous work order wow worthy moment? Let's talk.
I got I had a toss up. I listened to y'all's others and I had two that I was debating between. Okay. But I got this one. All right. This is on it's on a walk. Okay. We're doing a property walk. Okay. And our lead is there. He was not ours. He was the property's lead, and we were taking over the property. All right. So we're doing the due diligence, walking all the units. He gets done. We don't get his list back. We think, well, he's gone home for the day. Next day, we show up for the next day due diligence. He's nowhere to be found. We're thinking, well, I guess he didn't want the job and he's moved on. Okay. The third day we show up and they say, "Where is this guy?" And we said, "We figured he left." And they said, "No, nobody's heard from him." So we have to go walk the units that he walked. Tell me why we find him typed up in a closet in one of the units. He walked into a vacant. They were doing a drug deal. They grabbed him, beat him up,
What?
taped him up. He was in that closet for 70 hours. He was
What?
almost dead when we found him
What?
dehydrated. What are you talking about?
My
My
gosh. Oh my
goodness, that is the
gosh.
wow. Ooh, that's gonna be tough
Yeah,
to
it
beat,
Woo.
was.
Craig. That
And
is
I'll tell
gonna
you
be. So
what,
who found him?
oh, just one of
Like,
the other
where'd you?
maintenance guys. We split up
Oh,
on the
okay.
property and everybody started
Yeah.
looking. And he was
Okay.
he thought it was over with for him. But I'll tell you what, I
Oh
bet you he
my
was knocking on
gosh.
doors better after that.
My gosh.
Pretty wild, right?
Unbelievable.
That is
Yeah.
wild. Poor guy. Where is
Unbelievable.
this guy? Tell him we want to
Yeah, it
speak
was,
to him. I want to see what he's doing now. See, he might have changed careers, Craig.
you know what I'm
Whew.
That is
saying?
tough,
I bet
right?
you that's the best. Whatever meal
70
he ate after that was the
hours?
best.
Oh, I
Yeah, 70
know.
hours.
Poor
That's
guy.
Oh my
wild, isn't it?
gosh.
You can't
All
never
right.
get that
Yeah.
closet the same ever again.
That's an episode in itself right there.
I
My
know that's
gosh.
right.
My
That's
gosh.
a good one,
But
man.
no,
Thank you
that's
for
gonna be
sharing.
tough to
Yeah, it's
beat.
gonna be
Tough to
memorable.
beat.
That's good.
But no,
Well,
Craig.
I'll
No,
tell
go
y'all the
ahead,
other one
please.
offline one day. Oh, sorry.
No, man, I think we got a few moments, man. Let's hear her.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
But the other one was,
Yeah.
okay, so I'm an assistant manager at property in Richardson, and we had a new lady move in, and she came in with a work order saying she had ghosts. Okay. And I'm straight up, she said, "My place is haunted and y'all have to do something about it." Well, she was a sweet woman. And this is in the days where you could turn on Discovery or ID and you were watching a ghost hunter. Everybody was hunting ghosts everywhere in the U.S. hunting ghosts. So we dealt with her for a little bit, and it was kind of lighthearted. And finally, we came to the conclusion that she had an unauthorized tenant, and if that tenant didn't want to come and register, she was going to have to pay for that tenant one way or the other to get evicted. And it's amazing that ghost disappeared like that. There was
My
no more ghost stories after that
gosh. Are
one.
you kidding me?
She just wanted
Who
folks
is
to
your
come
lawyer?
over and hang out in her place at night.
Are you kidding me?
No, that's
That
serious.
is good. That is good.
Yeah,
That is good.
that
You didn't want to have to
she
pay
was a
for
sweet
him anymore.
woman, but
I was about to say, sometimes people just need
You don't have to pay
connection,
for him anymore.
man.
You know what?
you
No,
know what I
Coach, don't worry
mean?
about
You
it.
just gotta.
Sometimes people
That is
just
good.
need
I don't know who your
connection,
lawyer
man.
was, who came up with
I
that,
was
but that
just
is clean.
But that's
everybody.
life. That
That's
is
life.
property
Yeah, you
management
gotta be tuned in. You
life.
gotta be tuned in.
Takes
You
them
gotta be
all.
nimble.
This
That
is
is
what
so
you
No
good.
come
doubt.
up to, man. That's amazing.
Thank
Amazing
you.
work on
Glad
a
we
while.
shared that.
Amazing work on a while.
That's a
But
good
that is life. That's what we mean when we say,
Yeah.
hey, you're dealing with the mile to the wow when it comes. And you hope you have more mile than you have wow
one.
True that.
in terms of supplying a good place for people to live. But out of hundreds, if not thousands of residents,
Yeah.
people can throw your curveball here and there. So
Yes,
it's
sir.
good to
The
understand.
ghost work order.
Yes, sir.
No, that said, man, Craig, I wanted to make sure people understood where they can find you. If you can let us know, where can people connect with you to just understand more about Devonshire, more about you? And do they need to find you on TikTok now?
Oh, they will. They will.
They
Look for
will.
Devonshire coming up on TikTok. But we got devonshire.biz is our homepage, and C Watson at devonshire.biz. Hit me up, and if you're in the Metroplex and you're looking for work, I'm always looking for good people, and that's maintenance all the way up. If you're a porter looking to break in, talk to me. If you're a lead who needs to find a better situation, talk to me. And if you're a manager, we'll work with you. If you are working somewhere right now and you're good at talking to people and you feel like it's just not your vibe, then you holler at me and we'll carve out a career for you. Okay, so that's
Amazing.
I heard it.
yeah,
I
I'd
heard it. He's
appreciate
putting
it.
together a team. He's putting together a
Hey.
team. So
Gotta do
Greater
it.
Dallas
Beginning
area.
TVP.
Greater Dallas area.
DFW, you
Yes,
heard
sir.
it.
You heard it here. You heard it here.
Wow. Really, really good, folks. Man, what a great conversation, Craig. We appreciate your talents. I think people are going to learn so much from this episode today. And all of our listeners, thank you so much for sticking with us to the end. If you gained valuable insight from today's episode, we'd love for you to subscribe, leave a rating. Wherever you can listen to podcasts, you'll find Work Order Nation. And remember, if you know somebody in multifamily or property management, storage management industry, and you'd think they'd be a great guest on Work Order Nation, hit us up, Instagram or LinkedIn. All right, take one key insight from today, put it into action. Let us know how it goes. We'd love to hear about your progress, folks. Thanks again for joining in. Remember, property managers, you're never going to be as good as your last work order. So close that work order. Have a great day, y'all. Thanks for tuning in.